Hi everyone. In this video, we are proceeding further to the last case study that we are left with as part of the section B of our paper. The name of the question is Bismuth Company. So without any further ado, let's get started. Having a look at the question itself, I'm able to see that this pertains to the risk management area of our syllabus, very much commonly tested in the section B of your FM paper. So the question is asking me which of the following currency risks is Bismuth Company exposed to now and in the future. So let's have a look at the case study so that we can find out that out of the three risks, how many of the risks is this company facing. So Bismuth Company, whose home currency is the dollar, has exported products to Europe for several years and all European customers pay on credit in euros. It now plans to invest in a European storage, packing and distribution network. The finance will be provided by an immediate €6.5 million loan note issue with annual interest being payable in 2 installments in euros. So that means my home currency is dollars and I am having some of the loan notes in terms of another currency. That means I have liabilities in a different currency, which is a foreign currency. The first payment will be €260,000. The exchange rates are given to you. The money market rates are given to you. The euro-dollar exchange rate has been volatile recently. Volatile means there are lots of fluctuations. And the finance director of Bismuth Company is wondering whether a lead payment might be better than hedging the payment of the first interest installment with a 6-month forward exchange contract. Bismuth Company has bank loans with a nominal value of $5 million that are split equally between fixed and variable rate debt. The company has no assets generating interest rate income. The finance director is concerned about the interest rate risk associated with these bank loans. So this is a brief about the case study. Now looking at what are the risks that Bismuth Company is facing. Now we have studied conceptually that economic risk is one such risk which will be faced even by those businesses who do not trade internationally. Bismuth deals internationally also, so economic risk is definitely going to be a tick mark. Let's have a look at translation risk. Translation risk arises when I have assets or liabilities in a foreign currency, which is the case over here. I have liabilities in a foreign currency, that is euros for me. So translation risk is also a check. Then if you talk about the transaction risk, there are different customers, European customers who pay me on credit in another currency. So there exists the risk that the rates are going to fluctuate from when I enter into a contract with my customer and when I actually receive the payment from my customer. So as Bismuth Company, I am facing all three risks: transaction, translation, as well as economic risk. Moving ahead to the second question, according to the exchange rate theory, which of the following could explain the current euro per dollar forward exchange rate of 1.28 is to 1.31? So if you have a look over here, the spot exchange rate looks something like this. Euros to $1, these are the rates that are given. That means if you go to a broker, if you go to a foreign currency dealer, you will hand them over $1 and they are going to give you €1.30 in exchange for that same $1. So if you're going with the dollar, $1 is able to buy you more than €1 in the another currency. That means lesser of dollars are able to buy more of euros. So who is the stronger currency? Right now, dollar is the stronger currency because $1 can buy more than one of the euros. Now having a look at what changes in the forward rates. So in the forward rate, that same $1 will now be able to fetch you €1.28. That's a fall by 0.02 euros, or you can say 2 cents. You could say that. Now the same dollar is now able to fetch lesser euros. That means that the euros are strengthening and the dollar is weakening. So whenever any currency get stronger. What are the explanations? Their interest rates will be lower. Their inflation rates will be lower. So have a look at the first statement. Euro inflation rate is higher. So had the euro inflation rate been higher than the dollar inflation rate, would this have the currency of euro? Would they have appreciated? No. So first statement does not explain what has happened. Second is that the supply of dollars is expected to decrease in the near future. Whenever something's supply is expected to decrease in the future, what happens? It increases in value. But what do you see about dollars? Dollars actually have depreciated. So this cannot be the case as well. Have a look at the third statement. Euro interest rates are lower than the dollar interest rates. Conceptually, when we were learning the interest rate parity theory, the purchasing power parity theory, I had told you people how a currency can only grow stronger. A currency can strengthen, can appreciate when interest rates will be lower, when inflation rates will be lower. So euro has gotten stronger. A reason could be that the interest rates are lower compared to the dollar interest rate. So this can be our answer. Let's have a look at the last statement also. The government of the euro country has been selling euro from the official reserves. So if the government keeps on selling euros, that will increase the supply of euros in the market. Whenever something is increasing in supply, the value tends to fall. But here the opposite has happened. Euros have actually appreciated. Their value has actually increased. So the fourth statement cannot also be the explanation over here. It's only the third statement which is the correct explanation of the strengthening of the euros. Now moving towards the third question, if Bismuth company decides to make a lead payment for the interest rather than using a 6-month forward contract, what is the cost of saving to Bismuth of the payment? Bismuth does not need to borrow to finance the lead payment. So that means we are thinking of a lead payment. What exactly is a lead payment, guys? When I am trying to make the payment earlier than I should be making that payment. So rather than waiting for 6 months period of time for paying this $260,000 of euros, I am going to get the conversion done today itself. That is why I'm calling it as a lead payment. Now let's see what will be the difference between both of the payments that we are making. So for example, if I wait until 6 months and I get the money converted, my own dollars converted into 260,000 euros later, how much would I have to pay? So 6 months later, these are the rates which will be applicable. Now here we have to, whenever you're converting from one currency to another, you have to decide two things. Firstly, will you multiply or divide? And secondly, which out of the two rates will you be taking? Now, thinking about whether we divide or we multiply, we see that we want to get 260,000 of euros. Now, my home currency is the dollar. If I have a look at the exchange rate, with $1, I can buy more of euros. So that means I am a strong currency. With a strong currency like dollar, I am thinking to buy euros. So to buy euros, I will need lesser of dollars. So that means I will have to divide in this scenario. So out of the two questions, I've answered the first question, that the money that I need, I will be dividing that aspect over here. Now have a look that what rate are we going to use for our division. Now I have told you the second question is which rate will be used out of the two rates that are quoted here. Now the dealer will always take the advantage. So dealer will give you that rate where you have to pay more of dollars. So what you can do is in the exam, if you get confused, calculate using both rates and then take that rate where you have to pay more of dollars. So let's see, $260,000 euros divided by either the rate can be 1.28. So if that's the case, you'll have to pay $203,125. You can note this down with you, 203,125. This is the amount of dollars that you'll have to shell out of your pocket. Another choice is where you have to pay $260,000 euros, and when you convert it using 1.31, you have to pay 198 something dollars. So obviously the dealer will offer you that rate where you have to pay more of dollars. So this rate is what will be locked by the dealer. Now we have to compare it to the scenario if we go ahead with a lead payment. So if I'm going ahead with a lead lead payment, that means I will get the money converted today itself. That means 260,000 euros that I need after 6 months, I'll get it converted today itself using the rate of 1.3, which will make me pay $200,000 out of my pocket. Earlier, if I entered into a contract, a 6-month forward contract, this is the amount of money that I pay. And then if you see, 200,000 is what it will cost me today. So that means I end up saving some money. How much do I end up saving? 203,125 minus 200,000. That means $3,125 of a saving is possible if I go for a lead payment. That means rather than waiting for 6 months, if I get my dollars converted into 260,000 euros today itself, I can save $3,125 in part of the lead payment that I'm thinking to do. Now, proceeding further to the second last question basis this case study, what should Bismuth's company do in dollars now to correctly set up a money market hedge on the payment side of the expected interest in 6 months' time? So we are supposed to make a payment of 260,000 euros. We have to set up a money market hedge. Now here, when we are making a payment, if you people remember what sort of acronym do you use? There are 2 acronyms. If it is a receipt scenario, you use the BCD technique. If it is a payment scenario that you are encountered with, then you use the DCB acronym. DCB means you first deposit the foreign currency, then you convert to local currency, and then the last step is you borrow the local currency. So what you're going to do over here is the first step, I'm supposed to deposit the foreign currency. Now, I will not take exactly 260,000 euros to deposit. I will deposit slightly lesser so that once I earn the interest over a period of 6 months, I will be having exactly $260,000 over the deposit. That means right now I need to deposit slightly lesser amount of money. So how much money do I need to deposit now? That can be calculated using $260,000 divided by 1 plus the interest rate that I will be getting. So if I talk about the euro interest rates, when I deposit, I get 2% for a whole year. But am I doing it for a whole year? No, I am doing it for a period of 6 months. So if 2% is for the whole year, how can I find out the half year's interest rate? 2% into 6 over 12. That will give me 1% as the interest rate that I will be getting. So that means how many euros do I need to put on a deposit today? 260,000 euros divided by 1 plus 0.01. So this gives me 257,425 euros, which I need to put on a deposit today. This is the first step. Second step is I have to convert this money into my local currency. So my local currency is dollar. Today itself, I am getting this converted. So these are the amount of euros that I have with me in my hand. Now I'm converting them into the dollar. That means dollar is the stronger currency because with $1 I get more of euros. So when I'm using these euros, I'm going from a weak currency to a strong currency. So I'll be getting lesser of dollars. How many dollars will I be getting? Let's see. Which rate are you people going to use? Again, choose the one with which dealer will have to pay you lesser dollars. So one is where you divide it with 1.3. So that means you're going to get 198 and something. 198,019. This was the figure. And then if you talk about the other rate also, you can see and calculate, you will find out that you will be getting lesser euros using 1.3 as the rate. So that means this is the amount of money that you will be putting over a borrowing. So to pick our answer over here, we are going to borrow 198,119. So that means the closest pick that we have is that we will be borrowing $198,020 so that we are able to set up the money market hedge correctly. So this was the second last question. Now heading towards the last question, which of the following statements about interest rate risk is or are correct? So if you people have a look at the first question, first statement, a negative gap exposure. Remember, recollect your concepts. When does negative gap exposure happen? When your liabilities are more than your assets. So let's see the statement in full. Exposure means that for a given maturity date, interest sensitive liabilities are less than the assets. Liabilities are more, then it is called as a negative gap. So the first statement cannot be correct. Now let's have a look at the second one. The bank loans of Bismuth's company give rise to a basis risk. Now let's have a look at the last paragraph again. Bismuth company has bank loans with a nominal value of $5 million, which are split between fixed and variable debt. The company has no assets generating any interest rate income. And do you people think, are we facing any basis risk here? When is basis risk felt when it comes to interest rate? Basis risk basically means if, let's suppose, I had some assets and some liabilities which are determined using some different basis. So maybe my liabilities are linked to SOFR and maybe my assets are linked to SONIA. So they are both used, the rates are calculated using different bases. That is what is basis risk, but this does not happen to be the case for Bismuth company. So any of the statements are not correct, neither one nor two. This is what I will mark as my final answer for the last question, which pertains from this case study of Bismuth company. With this, we come to an end to the section B of our paper, and in the next video, we will move to the section C, question number 1 from the same paper. I hope that these videos have been helping you, and I wish you all the very best for your final exam.